Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the My Pocket Preceptor podcast. I'm so excited today to share with you a friend of mine, a colleague, Belinda. She has been an awesome nurse. We met each other working on the same floor at a major hospital in the Philadelphia area. So I am stumbling over my words, but that's okay. I would love for her to share her story with you. She has just a phenomenal story, and so I'll just let her get into it. So, Belinda, thank you for coming on. Please
Thank you for
share with
having me.
us a little, you're most welcome, a little bit about yourself and why you decided to get into nursing.
So my name is Belinda. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I started working in the hospital in 2015. Graduated nursing school, University of Pittsburgh in
That's where
2014.
I went.
Yes, yes,
You
Pitt
went to
Panther.
Pitt? Oh
Yes.
my gosh, I had no clue, Belinda. I thought you went to the other one. What's the other one
Mm-mm.
out there?
Carnegie or like Duquesne.
Yeah,
There's a
Carnegie and
yeah,
Duquesne. Yeah.
yeah.
I
No,
did
Pitt
not know you went to
Panther.
Pitt.
Me, Kayla,
Yes.
Shane, roll.
I knew Caleb, but I didn't know Shane also went.
Wait, no,
Pitt's a
wait.
great
Oh,
nursing
wait. Was
school.
it Shane too? Wait, I might have made that up. Maybe not Shane, but I definitely Kayla, and I could have sworn there was another person. Maybe just because Shane precepted Kayla, thinking that he was, but maybe not. But still,
Awesome.
yeah, small world. Um, yeah, I went there for school, so I went out of state for school. But the reason I really got into nursing, I have a lot of family that works in the healthcare areas, whether it was as a CNA, a nurse, or a doctor. And I don't know, whenever you're like in kindergarten, whatever, what age they start asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And that, you find out all different professions. And that was always my thing was nursing. I wanted to be like caring for people, but like in a more direct way. So that's why I chose that role. And then as time went on and I learned more things about the profession, I stayed with it and was like, yeah, I still want to do that. And then
Hmm.
I just kind of, in high school, your guidance counselors help you out with colleges, you should apply to based on your degree that you want and stuff like that. I looked at different programs, and that's how I picked where I picked. And I would do it all again. I would still go to the same school. Um,
Yep,
it was really, they have a really great like nursing program, whether it's
I
graduate
agree.
or undergraduate. Um, yeah, and I've kind of always been in the like stroke neuro profession in terms of like inpatient and outpatient now. But I was also like a stroke designated unit and telemetry unit, so like a lot of cardiac stuff too, like AFib and I don't know, strokes,
Hmm.
the general I don't know neurological conditions, but uh yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, I agree. I mean, I grew up in New York for like maybe 2 years in my teenage years. My aunt, I was living with her, and same thing. Like we're Caribbean, like I'm Jamaican, and so like it's just one of the things you come up here, and it's a great profession that you can really build and maintain your family and that kind of stuff. So that's how I was like, okay, she makes pretty good money. And my cousin, shout out to my cousin, Dr. Kim Hires. She's
Yes.
phenomenal.
Aw.
She said, you should be a nurse practitioner. They make $90,000. I was like, $90,000? This was like back in like 2000. So that was a lot of money. And so I
Hmm.
was like, I'm going to be a nurse practitioner. So shouts out to her. That's why I decided to be a nurse and then subsequently a nurse practitioner. So awesome. So how long have you been a nurse?
So I graduated in 2014 and I started working as a nurse, I believe it was February of 2015. I started working in a hospital. I worked
Mhm.
there for about like a community hospital, worked there for almost 3 years, and then
Oh, nice.
I decided to move out of New York and came to Philly. And I was in Philly for I
Hmm.
think like a little over 5.5 years on the same unit that we were working on together,
Yeah.
in neurology, like a neurological step down unit. And most recently, like really recently, moved back to Long Island and am working in outpatient neurology. So still in the same like field, but just at a
Yeah.
different venue, I guess, or setting.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
doing the different sides of neuro. So yeah, it's been interesting. There's the nice thing about nursing, the flexibility of like different areas that you can go into if your life, path goes that way. But
Yeah, I agree. And so, talking to a lot of people like new to practice nurses and a lot of questions on TikTok, there's questions going around like, do you start out in med surg or do you go straight to the specialty that you want? Like, for example, if someone says emphatically, I know I want to be in L&D, what are your thoughts on that? Do you recommend for someone coming out of nursing school to like just get the first job that they are offered? I mean, realistically, that happens. Or do you say, I'm going to wait for the specialty that I desire?
If you're applying and you're lucky enough to get interviews and you have choices to, be in different arenas, and if you really strongly want to do a specialty, I would say yes, try going into that route if you can. It is always good to have, I mean, med surg covers so much, so it is a good baseline, but I know there are some people who just like, sometimes it's like your intuition, like you just know like what's meant for you. And I
Yeah.
would, if that's truly what it is, then definitely go through that path. But also be mindful of the fact that you want to make sure that the place that is hiring you, that they have a good training program for that specialty role if you are new to practice, because that's really going to
Right.
make a difference on how you feel in the role and if you'd want to stay in it, because they might only give you a shorter period of orientation time when really for something specialized you should have like a much longer time, and you'd feel more confident in your skills and things like that if you did have a better training orientation for something that's a specialty area, because they have that, a lot of hospitals have like for critical care, like you're saying, like maybe labor delivery. I'm trying to think of other ones, maybe even the OR sometimes.
OR, right.
So yeah,
PACU
definitely.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe pack.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
I'm not sure if PACU
Yeah,
per
me
se,
too.
because you do like things can happen in the PACU, like in terms of sedation wise, like maybe that or so. Mm,
hmm
yeah, but I know definitely the OR. I know I think sometimes for like I said, for L&D and ICUs,
ICUs.
critical care, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, initially I had that sentiments to like go ahead and start in med surg, but as I've, practiced for like a decade and a half, I'm just like, go for what you want. Like life is life, right? So
Yeah.
just go for what you want. If that's an option for you, that doesn't mean there aren't going to be challenges. That doesn't mean that you may not have to start on med surg and stay there for 6 months and then go into a specialty. But if you're, as you're alluding to, if something is pulling you to go to a particular specialty, just count yourself in the game, be confident, and then just shoot your shot and just apply. So that's what I've learned. Um, Okay. So, what advice would you give to nurses in building their resilience? Because, especially coming out of nursing school, they don't teach you, they teach you the theory, right? They teach you anatomy and physiology. They teach you like how to remember the lab value. So, when your potassium is 5, that's a problem. Is it 5? No, it's 3.5 to 5. So, if you have a
Yeah.
potassium of like, if you have a potassium of like 5.6, you know that is a problem. But they're not teaching you, well, at least I didn't learn. And we went to the same nursing school, and you're saying Pitt is a great nursing school, and I agree. But they don't teach you necessarily how to be a resilient nurse, how to set boundaries, how to establish your practice as a new nurse. So what are some things, if you have any, that you would advise someone coming into the profession to help build up the resilience that they're going to need in order to overcome the barriers when they first start out?
I think everybody's a little bit different in terms of their organizational skills. I say this as
Mm-hmm.
somebody with ADHD, late diagnosis. So like a couple years diagnosed. So
Yeah.
if you like once you start in the role and you know how many patients you're going to have and you can kind of get a feel for your task for the day, like something simple like that will really help you out, because then other things will get thrown in that aren't so much like the clinical side of nursing that will
Mm-hmm.
really affect your day and your stress levels. And if you can at least get some things in your control down pat, like have your system down, then the other things you
Right.
can handle them as they start coming in along. There are certain scenarios that you'll deal with that you may not deal with all the time, but still will be enough where it will affect you, whether it's like a very sick patient who like quickly, I don't know, their condition escalates to need higher level care, or whether it's like difficult family,
Mm-hmm.
or dealing with delegating with coworkers. So it's just,
Oh my goodness, that is a
yeah,
big one,
those are like the
Belinda.
three.
And that's a big one to this day for me. I have to tell you the story, and I'm not going to throw the CNA under the bus.
Oh,
But
it's
that
okay.
to this day is still a very uncomfortable conversation to have with
Yeah,
other staff members.
yeah, not just CNA, just even others. Yeah, just could be secretary, it could be it could. Well, yeah, usually
Yeah.
in terms of who we deal with, in terms of delegating certain things. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a toughie. Yeah, you have to, especially if you're maybe like new to the unit, like a new, like I said, new practice, or just
Hmm.
new to, like I said, to that area. Like, um, yeah, certain people,
Expect challenges. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Certain people are
um,
just coming. There's certain people coming in hot. They're just coming hot that shift. And you're like, wait a minute.
yeah. But then
Wait a
sometimes
minute.
even I'll see that even sometimes patients or the family too, or the provider, and sometimes I have to remind myself that, like, I should not have to remind myself this, but we're all human, and like sometimes people have like other, when I feel that energy from somebody else, that like I know it's not on me, it's coming from
Hmm.
somewhere else and they're
Right.
placing onto me. I know now, I have the experience to know that, okay, I'm not going to take that in because that has nothing to do with me. And then I,
Right.
try to like handle it. And then, and maybe as you talk to them later on, whether later on the shift, later on the day, whatever, like you notice like, oh, like they've calmed down a bit, like whatever was being transported to the situation had nothing to do with the situation. It was just like I don't know, like a side effect of XYZ beforehand, and it just got added on to something else. So
Right.
sometimes I just have to realize that, like, oh, like they seem high strung, but I don't think it's just this. But
Right.
they're taking it
Right.
out on this one situation, but it's definitely not just this one thing that's making, and you kind of have to sense people. Now I have this better sense of other people, not even just in nursing or just in life. When I talk to them, like, oh, I could see you have a lot going on. You don't have to tell me that, but I just
Right.
could, it's like, okay. And then I can
Right.
have some sympathy and empathy and be like, okay, like we'll get through this. Like, and it's like if you have difficulty with a CNA or a secretary or whatever else, I'm trying to think other team members, like we are a team, especially
Right.
if you're going to be working night shift, you are a team.
You
uh,
too.
yeah, you don't got a lot of people, so you gotta like have your crew like when you need them.
Right.
So
Or
sometimes you
even
have to,
charge nurses, unfortunately, like even the relationship with charge nurses could be, very contentious sometimes. There may be people you just don't vibe with very well. So again, as you're saying, just learning how to act professionally and not taking it personally, that is major.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, try to get your point across, but still be professional and direct.
Right.
And yeah, like I think it's going to be professional and direct, and it'll get across. Yeah.
Right. Right. And so, yeah, I was reading this book. I'm learning to read more and that kind of thing. And the book, one of the books I read is called The Four Agreements. I was looking to see if it's in my
Wait,
library, but
wait, 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 wait. Who's the author for that?
oh my goodness, don't
Don't
let me
tell
Google
me,
him.
girl. Wait, is
Wait,
it
it's
Don?
Ruel something. I always get it.
Wait, is
Hold
it
on.
Don Miguel Ruiz?
Yes, it's him.
Girl, I just read. I didn't read that, but
Yes, The Master
I
Yourself. I got that too. I didn't read
yes,
it yet.
it's so
And the one
it's
about love or something like that. It's like a trio or something like that. I thought, girl,
yeah. Oh my God, I'm
it's
so sorry.
good.
Somebody just made an entrance, and that was my dog.
Oh, no.
He pushed the
Oh,
door open.
welcome. What's your dog's name?
Brewster.
Brewster. Okay. Well,
He
hi,
just pushed it
Brewster.
open.
Listen, Brewster's in the room.
I was like, uh-oh, forgot he was
Oh, that's
outside.
awesome.
But yeah, I
That's
literally just
awesome.
read those two books this past week. I was like, wait, because I read the
Mhm.
back and it said the other book that he wrote, and also one is actually
Yeah.
by his son and one is by him. So his son
Oh, I
also wrote
didn't
a
know.
book. So I think the
Oh,
book that the Master Yourself was from his son, and the other book,
okay.
like the Four Agreements, is the father or whatever.
It's his.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome books.
Awesome, awesome books. It
Anybody,
totally
any
shifted.
specialty. Yeah,
Everyone should read that. I think it just
yeah,
helped me with like personal being on the journey of being more aware of myself and how I interact and how I come into a situation like impacts
yeah.
that situation. And the major thing that I'm the one of the four agreements, I'm not going to give all four of them away. You guys can Go get it. I should
Yeah.
I should create an Amazon store and just like put it in my Amazon store. But it's one of the agreements is not taking things personally. And that is major. It's just like, okay, this is not about me and I'm not going to take that onto myself. And so that's one of the things I think helping build resilience from my perspective, in my opinion, is also like having mental fortitude. So how you can strengthen yourself mentally, and then you'll be able to, work through the challenges that arise. Just because like some things may be more mental, as you're saying, you may go in and you just automatically get this like tense energy from the family member or tense energy from the patient. And just being Black, I'm just being honest, I'm a nurse practitioner as well. And I had to work 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as hard to prove how good I am as a nurse practitioner on first impression and on first encounter with patients who weren't Black. It just is what it is. And so you may be fighting battles that have nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your education and your skill level. And so you just have to learn to not take it personally. And then other things may be more time management things, like when, like, especially with day shift, like, oh, the patient has to go to X-ray. Now PT wants to see them. And you're like, but I need to give medications. I need to give his lisinopril or like his digoxin or whatever, So yeah, I agree. But that book is great.
So good. Like you said, the 3 questions. I'm literally like, I was like, oh no. It's like on top of my book pile I was telling you about earlier.
That
like
is so awesome.
Yeah. It really, now I think I will say that now I'm in a different role. Like I'm completely new to the health system, to not necessarily the specialty, but like it's outpatient, so it is different in terms of what you're dealing with the patients. Once you have a better like sense of self, even though I have like, oh my God, 9 years nursing experience, almost 9 years nursing experience. I still have to learn a whole other side of things I never dealt with before. So I'll feel like a certain way, like I get nervous. I'm like, oh, I don't want to mess up. But it's like, you are going to make some mistakes, but it's not like mistakes that are like acutely going to affect anybody, if that makes sense. Like I have to know, like knowing from where I came from, like, okay, the kind of mistake that you would make is not going to be the mistake that is, I don't know. It wouldn't be the same level of mistake. Like, it's like, oh, you can easily fix that. Oh, like, I don't know, you made an error. It's not like
harm to the patient, right?
Yeah, it's not like that. It's just like, I don't know. I get a lot of paperwork things, but like something that could easily be fixed, or you catch and like, oh, okay, like I'll know this next time. But nothing in the clinical sense, like, oh, that's everything's down pat. It's the other like back end of things, computer things, emailing things, where I'm like, oh, did I remember to respond to that person? Like stuff like that, where I'm like, okay, like it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow morning you could check that and you'll be fine. Like, because it is, healthcare is business, and it's caring side of things, but it's also business. And now I'm learning more of that business role side of things. So interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And you said something that's really great, that you're still nervous and you're being, honest and transparent about that. And that's helpful for new to practice nurses to say, hey, it never really goes away. That, especially when you're coming into something new, whether it's a new profession or, as you're saying, a new setting, a new company, different team dynamics, you're going to have a level of like growth that is required. And so don't beat up on yourself. You're not beating up on yourself. And this is just to the new to practice nurses. Don't beat up on yourself. Ask questions. Again, mistakes are inevitable. Just as long as they're not like sentinel problems, like sentinel
exactly.
events. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So. I had to tell myself, like, going in, I was like, okay. Sometimes you have to give yourself a little pep talk, even if you're going to work and like,
girl,
and
I'm gonna have a good night. That's my mantra.
Yeah. You put your music on, your pocket, whatever you need, and you just like get ready, okay?
Yes.
And know, like, at the end of the day, or end of the day or night or whatever your shift is, you're gonna go home, okay?
You're gonna go home.
Yes. And then you're gonna start over again, maybe the next day, a couple days later, depending on your schedule. But it's a cycle. You gotta.
And so another coworker of ours, Christina, she did one of the episodes. She was on the first episode. So she said she had a really great trick. Yeah. she had a timer. So she literally had a timer on her phone where she'd be like, okay, it's 4 hours left in this shift. And so when she looked at it, it would like count down. You're like, okay, I'm almost there. So whatever it is, whatever you need, if you need the check boxes off, like 5 o'clock done, 6 o'clock done, you know what I mean? Whatever you need to get through the shift, it can do it. So I'm loving our conversation. Can you tell us any kind of stories that you may have about your early days in nursing that could be a valuable lesson to someone who's watching this podcast?
I, I will say this. So, in my first job, I think within a year or under a year and a half, I was trained to be charge
Mm-hmm.
and a charge nurse, and that was never anything, even still to this day, that I like thought that I would want to do because like I felt like I was still, I don't know, like learning things on my unit, but I guess other people higher up, charge nurses, assistant nurse manager were like, oh no, you'd be good at this. And they taught me it. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot. I guess I was charged because I stayed there for a little under 3 years. So maybe a year and a half to 2 years, I was charge nurse, but also working as a staff nurse, depending on if someone else was in charge. And I
Mm-hmm.
learned so much, so much.
Wow.
I like getting in contact with so many different people that I normally wouldn't have had to because it would have just been deferred to the charge nurse or to the secretary, something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Getting to talk to the supervisors or some, depending on where you work, nursing coordinators. They were really, really, really like helpful for
Mm-hmm.
a lot of nights that we needed help, with, staffing and things like that. Uh,
Yeah.
just like that was like the jack of all trades, like juggling so many different things. Like that's what kind of like that's what how honestly I got my resilience, honestly, because I was like, if you
Mm.
could do all of that, if you did all of that, you could handle so much more. Like
Right.
for other things that aren't nearly. I'm like thinking back, I'm like, oh, remember when you did that? And I'm like, oh my God, if I had to do that, I'm like, what? No, but I did it.
Right.
But I did
Right.
it.
But I did it.
Right? Yeah. So it's just like, because like I would tell people and they'd be staring at me like, what? And I'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like, because they're like, oh, because some people will say, oh, certain units like, oh, I can't believe you worked there, or I could never work
Yeah.
there. And then you're like, well, I came from this, and so I think I'll be okay. Like I'm sure it'll have
Right.
its challenges, but I think I'll be all right.
Right.
Um, yeah, like it just so something I didn't want to do initially, like the charge nurse thing, but being kind of politely forced or like pushed to do it in some way, like was beneficial to me because I did understand so many other aspects of care.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also I got to know my coworkers better because I was always like checking in on them and helping them out with different things. Because otherwise, like I'm kind of shy and quiet, so like I like would keep to my people or the couple of people I know and not be as
Mm-hmm.
like talkative and stuff like that to people. So it
Mm-hmm.
was, you know, the good and the bad, you take it. But like, uh, yeah, I just learned so many things from that first job. And then in
That's
my second job,
awesome.
I was in charge, but still, like, I was like, oh, like, I know and I don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Like, I'm like, okay, yeah.
And you were in charge at the smaller community hospital you're stating, so you had to be like very have a lot of ingenuity because they may not have a lot of resources like what we had at the level 1 trauma center where we worked.
Yeah.
So that also is great. You're like under pressure. I got this. I know what to do. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's
it's
so funny
good.
when people are like, even if it's like an older, even like when an older or experienced person's coming to you for advice because you're charged,
Mhm.
but it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, but it's like, it makes you feel like, oh, like, oh, like, or just as like, like as a backup, like, is this the right way to do this? I'm like, yes, yes. Or, oh, actually, let's do this. Like, so,
Hmm.
yeah.
And in today's reality, we're just going to be real. Like that's a very, very probable like thing that can happen. That you're coming out of nursing school, maybe have a year experience, and then you're thrusted into this charge nurse role, and you have to manage it. And I've seen it firsthand where on units that I'd visited and stuff like that, and maybe picked up overtime shifts, the younger nurses, because they were the most senior there, whether it be 13 months, 18 months, were the charge nurses because that there were the senior nurses. And I've really seen how they blossomed, like even over the progression of time. Like this role, as you're saying, really brings out the leadership skills and leadership qualities that they may not have even realized that they had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it'll bring it out of you because you're like, you have like in a clinical rapid response code, whatever, like you're like, okay, do.
mhm,
And then obviously other people come, but like you just have like this extra set of eyes for certain
right.
situations. Like you can be like, okay, we have to do X, Y, Z, this, that. Like this person call this person, this do that. Like
And how to
you just,
critically think, how to manage
yeah,
money and budgets and things like that, which is very important for us all, like
true,
learning how to manage the money that we're given.
very
Very
true.
important.
Yeah, and also just like if you in the future, like say you don't want to do charge anymore, but it even like for precepting, like being in
Hmm.
charge, being I think I started being charged and then later on before I left started precepting people and having that skill to what's it called like multitask, I guess, in a certain way or prioritize
Yeah.
certain things as a chargers helped me to also then teach my orientee to do XYZ things. I'm like, if I can be in charge and do also have patience, because depending on what your situation is,
Wow.
and then
Yeah.
like then you can have patience and just have patience. I was
Yeah.
like, if I can do
Yeah.
it, girl, then you can do without the other stuff I'm also in charge of. So I was like,
Right.
it did help somewhat, yeah.
Yeah. And all those transferable skills, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure what everyone's like idea of how long they may stay at the bedside, but most people don't want to stay at the bedside for 30 years or something like that. So you're generating these like transferable skills that you can then go to if you want to be a nurse manager or if you want to be even a coordinator. It just affords you the environment of seeing other like roles that you can go into and get out of the bedside, or even maybe be the director of nursing or something like that.
Oh
um
yeah. I've like some of my coworkers I reached out to for just checking in and also just for reference and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, they're like working at this place and they're in this new role. And then like, and I was like, oh my God, like I could see you definitely doing that but when I had left and everything like that. And now you're doing it. Like,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, so it's nice. It's nice checking in with people and being like, what are you doing now? And like seeing like, how things changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of nursing. We say it all the time. And the philosophy that I'm having now with the profession is that it's a foundation, like it's a base for you. And it's a foundation in the sense that it offers like financial stability in regarding to like providing for yourself and for your family. And then also the foundation that you can go on to other roles, whether it be education or whether it be in management or, case management or whatever the case may be. That's the foundation. But then in addition to that, it's also a springboard for you, however you choose to use it. You know what I mean? A springboard for you to bounce into other areas of like, whether it be entrepreneurship. There's so many people that I see on TikTok who are like now, they're nurse practitioners, but they also have like an aesthetic clinic, or they have like an IV infusion clinic, or they have like a, what are those places called where people live? Home healthcare businesses and things of that
Mm,
nature. So again, however you got into nursing for whichever reason, it is to your advantage for you to use it however you want. It's a tool. So
yeah.
that's how I look at it.
Oh yeah.
I wish I knew that sooner. And that's in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Girl, I wish I knew this 16 years ago when I started. I wouldn't have had this podcast. So maybe that's why.
Well, see, maybe it was see.
See, I would have been in Fiji, Bora Bora. I would have been out of here. I'm sorry. I think you were gonna say something when I was talking about
Oh no!
being a
When you mentioned
foundation.
the different areas that you can do, like you can do also legal consultant,
Yeah.
uh, nursing for I guess like litigation stuff like that. And then when you mentioned IV infusion, I didn't realize there's so many like at least maybe where I moved to in New York, but like there's a lot of like I didn't realize it even existed like infusion centers or like some hospitals have like an infusion whatever department or something like that. I didn't know that it was a thing. I just assumed I didn't realize there's some people on maintenance some maintenance therapies,
Mm.
and they can't always come into the hospital or the insurance won't pay for all that, so they have to go somewhere else. And I was like, I didn't know that existed until I came back, and I was like, oh.
Yeah. And so for those of us, who don't know, because I'm not really sure all the things that they do there, what does an infusion clinic, what are the like medications or things that they infuse? Is it like antibiotics or is it like IVIG?
Well, for me, because I'm specifically neurology and neuromuscular conditions, so it's IVIG, Rituxan.
Okay.
Those are the ones that we, used to give where we're at. But in addition, there's so
Hmm.
many different drugs for migraines, for headaches. Also, there's like one called Vyvgart, Spinraza. There's so many different ones, and each has their
Okay.
own protocol and things like that. Yeah, there's so many different ones. And like you got to try what works for you, and if something doesn't work, then they try
Mm-hmm.
something else. And I've had many different patients be on different things, whether it's pills and or infusions. But once you finally get the one that works for you, that's probably the best feeling ever, especially if a lot of these are like chronic conditions. So yeah.
Finding a good fit. Okay. Alrighty. Okay. I'm respectful of your time because you worked all day today,
Oh,
and
girl, it's
I'm
okay.
just grateful. Um,
You're
so how
good.
do you
I'm not
deal?
tired.
Okay, good, good, good,
No,
good.
I'm still like my night shifter me is like,
Oh yes,
but
right.
if I turn down the lights and I'm laying in bed, like, yeah, I'll go to sleep. But if I'm like doing
Yeah,
something, I'm good.
you're good. So burnout is very real, and if you're working in nursing for at least 6 months, you may start experiencing symptoms of burnout. That may be a little bit of like irritability, anxiety about going to work, just being, feeling overwhelmed, tired, those kinds of things, moody. So, what are some things that you do to decrease your like level of burnout?
Well, as someone that went through it in the past, in my early
Amen,
days,
sister.
yes. Now, like I was, reflecting and therapy, other things, I'm like, oh yeah, that was not. I was
That was
trying.
not.
I did things that helped, but still, it was like, oh, it was worse than I thought it was. But
Hmm.
definitely, oh, make sure that you eat. And even if you can't eat your full meal, like try to like space out your meals, have snacks or something. That'll affect your mood so much.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, when you're working or not working, like it matters so much. Also, drinking water. Get your
Yep.
whatever hydro flat, whatever company things. I know there's a lot of TikToks, like get that, drink it. Um, you'll be able to think clearer, like you'll just feel much better.
Right.
I personally, physical activity is a big thing.
Hmm.
Uh, like I was always very much active, trying to go on walks or jog. Once it gets cold though, I don't like going outside, so I have to
Yeah.
do like indoor or go to the gym or something just to like get my mind
Hmm.
uh thinking, I don't know, like endorphins from working out, stuff like that, the adrenaline
Yep.
or whatever.
Hmm.
Just help me think clearer and feel lighter and not as
Yeah.
like weighed down or things, whether it's like weighed down emotionally or like physically weighed
Or
down, like for
especially
stress.
working night shift, like literally,
Yeah,
like working 3 night shifts in a row. I feel like I got hit by a sprinter van. Like I'm just
you need
so
a day to
tired.
recover. Yeah,
For real.
you really need a day to recover
You
and get
really
your
do.
life together. Um, yeah, and also like like whether it's family, friends, like doing things you just really being present for the things you enjoy,
Hmm.
that aren't just related to your work is very important to me. Like
Right.
for me right now, like my dog, like the simplest thing, like when I greet my dog coming home, feeding him, like
Yeah.
there's such a difference of I notice now, like mindfulness, being aware, being present that I didn't have uh many, many years ago. And I wish I would
Hmm.
have had that just to have gratitude in the little things,
Right.
the little pleasures in life, honestly. And
Right.
it's the little things now that like make my day, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
I
need like
totally agree.
lavish, expensive, I don't just to spend or go on shopping sprees and stuff like that. Like it's like the little things like seeing my family, seeing my cousins, seeing my friends,
Yeah.
going to a movie, taking my dog for a walk, going to the park, like playing my favorite playlist, things like that, like those simple
Yeah.
pleasures.
I agree. And yeah, we're in the same frame of mind when it comes to like self-care and things like that. This is one of the things they don't teach you in nursing school. And your preceptor may not teach you this because he or she may not be at the level of like self-awareness to know that they need to prioritize self-care. It's not until literally like 15 years in my career that I'm like, I really need to start putting me first. And I think for me, it's from like childhood trauma. You grow up being a woman, a Black woman, being from the Caribbean. I'm not, not dinging any of those, but those are things
It's
that
true.
I
You're not
being
taking nobody.
being the
It's true.
first daughter, being the first
Oh,
daughter in the family, it's
yeah.
like all these things that are expected of you, and it's expected for you to put yourself last. It's expected for you to put to give the shirt off of your back, literally. And when you don't, people shame you into it, or people make you feel bad and guilt you into it, and you guilt yourself because you feel like you've been doing it. And as I said, I'd gone to therapy, and I had to realize like I love me, and I'm putting me
Hmm.
first, even before the patients. Like, how many times have you walked a patient to the bathroom and you didn't even go pee? Like, how?
Yep.
How many times have you brought them water? Are you okay? Do you need some graham crackers when you're literally only had coffee since the beginning of your shift? Like, do better for yourself. And that's like one of the tenets for the reason for this podcast is for me to teach nurses what I wish I knew. And these are the two foundational ones. Learn how to manage your money because you make good money as a nurse.
Mm.
I made good money when I first started. I think I made more money than my parents. I made like, I don't even know. Like I think I started out at maybe like $38 an hour, and then by the time I left, it was
Yep.
like $48 an hour or something like that. I don't think my parents are making $38 an hour, but where's the money now? So this platform is to show you how to manage your money and how to take care of yourself. So thank you for bringing that up. You have to
Oh
take care of
yeah.
yourself.
You gotta take care of your life. Yeah. I will say too, when I started off, I was living at home. I was working as a nurse. Because I moved back from after college out of state, moved back home and living at home. And I think I was working at like a department store, or what's it called, wholesale store. So my salary
Mhm.
from that going to nursing was totally different. And then I'm
Right.
more living at home, so I'm not having to pay rent. So I was like, oh, like I can go on little trips and stuff. I can go on vacation.
Yes.
And I did that, and I don't take it back. But like in the long run, like yeah, keep saving your money. If you have your car payments, you're gonna
Hmm.
have stuff gonna come up, and then like I don't know, depending on your relationship status, you might want to get married soon. You want to be having kids. You have to like start like putting money away, like planning, like if your paychecks or even your retirement, Roth
Yes.
RA, whatever you want to do, like you have to start doing that too. Still enjoy your life, but like
Right.
know that like in the long run, like it'll help you, especially in this housing market, everything. Like it's yeah, it's it's
Everything. This
crazy.
this
Everything.
market, food. I literally pay $250 a week for food. Like, why?
Yes,
I'm grateful
yes.
I can afford it now. I'm not balling. I'm not like trying to be
Hmm.
like whatever, but food is expensive. It's so
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
But yeah, for sure. And to that point too, that's one of the things I teach my clients. Like, as much as you can stay home, like I know all of us, you may have a little boo thing and you want to spend all the time laid up with your boo. Save your money, okay? Go to
Hmm.
his house or her house or their house, whatever, go to their house and stay home under your parents' roof, be respectful, and save your coins. Save your money, I'm telling you, because that's the real flex.
For
when
real.
you can when you can walk away from your job and you can walk away from your relationship and know that you're okay. That is a
Yes.
flex.
Yes. That is, yeah, I think like you were saying, like you're the oldest
I'm the oldest
daughter,
child, but also
also oldest daughter.
oldest daughter. Yeah.
Yeah. So my mother, similar, she is the oldest child and oldest daughter. So she has like five other siblings. She's running everybody's business. Like she's just like everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God.
And
But
I
like
don't
she
want
has,
to be. And I'd be like, I don't
yeah.
want to. I have one person to manage. This is me, not even my child and my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to run their life. Like I run my life, like
Yes.
me.
But I've always like my mother's always taught me to be very independent in a sense, like make sure that you have a job and something that you can manage. Like you don't need anybody else to take care of you at the end
Right,
of the day. Like
right.
make sure you like, get your stuff in order where like God forbid anything happens, like you are fine. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like if I need support, I have support from my family, but like just relationship or whatever, just in the future, just make sure like you're set. So
Yeah,
that's always in the back of my mind, like, okay, like, and that's why I'm kind of happy that I did go out of state and be by myself for a while and like live on my own. And like, I was like, oh, like, I didn't really have any family support out there, but like I did it.
mm-hmm.
So sometimes
Yeah,
doing little things like that for yourself also gives you like, I don't know, like an added, I don't know, like boost or sense of resilience of like, okay, so I can handle that, I can do this, and I can do that.
absolutely, absolutely. It all comes to work for us. Like life works for us. And I say that to say recently, like 2 days ago, literally I have a Mercedes. I have a newer one. Like when I was first started out as a nurse, I had a hoopty. Like my car was like 17 years old. I had like a 2003 Mercedes up until 2021, mind you. I did not care. Looking, I'm saving my money, drinking my water, like Belinda said, and I'm eating my good food. I didn't care. But then I got pregnant and we're having a family, so you need a more reliable car. I say that to say 2019 CLA, beautiful Mercedes, right? Super cute. Some person, I will not say, jerk, literally smash my windshield, smash my just totally vandalized my car. I think they were trying to
Mhm.
steal it. And I was just like, you know what? I'm grateful I have insurance that will cover it, or whatever the case may be. You may have to pay a deductible. But I say that
Mhm.
to say, like life, it sucks. I'm upset that someone vandalized the property that that I have and I'm paying money on. But it's like, you know what? Everything is working for us to provide the growth that we need to get to the next level that we want. So just as you're saying, you moved out of the comfort of your family's home and out of the state that you are comfortable with, and looked at the resilience. So life is working for us. I don't see it yet how this, vandalism is, working for my benefit, but I know it is. I trust that God
Down the
will.
road, it'll come to fruition. You'll be like, okay, so that's what, like, it will happen. I'm telling you, it will happen.
Yeah. And to those nursing, new nurses who are there and you're like, I hate my job sucks, this is not what I expected. They duped me into a role that I didn't like or didn't know the responsibilities for. Just find something that you can learn. Say, what is this trying to teach me? Like, what can I
Hmm.
learn from this, and what is it trying to teach me? And so again, that doesn't mean you stay in the situation forever. You're still actively looking for that part.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that's important.
Again, the self-care. Okay, now you got to care about yourself enough to get out of this situation, but in the
Yeah.
interim you can learn something from it. So yeah.
Yeah. In your mind, you start formulating a plan like, okay, so, uh, even the things that you didn't like that didn't want to do, they're still skills. So you try to learn those skills and
Mm-hmm.
then utilize them going forward as just what am I trying to say? Like a part of your arsenal of like the things that you can do and accomplish and stuff. So be
Right.
like, oh wow, like when you put that on a resume or you mention an interview, like, oh wow, you have like a good like uh I don't know. My words are losing me now, but like a variety of like areas of skills that you can showcase and can be helpful in certain situations. So
Right.
uh yeah. And it's always a silver lining sometimes, like the things like you were saying, like it may not be what you expected or were told in the beginning, but then it may help out in the long run.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It definitely does. So more on to some fun questions. So what music do you listen to when you're going into work? I know we work night shift, so what were you blasting going into work?
Oh, so I had a couple CDs during the pandemic that I bought.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll say like three artists that like really are like my like go-to like pick me up people
Yeah.
as of like the last couple of years. Robin, Robyn. She's like a Swedish pop dance
Oh, and you love
artist.
concerts. That's one of the things that
Oh
you do,
yes,
Belinda,
that's
for
another
your
self-care thing. I don't
self-care.
know how did I not self-care, vacation, trips, concert. I don't know how I like completely did not add those. I was like running because like now I'm like I haven't been on vacation recently, but like walking and going for runs. But
Yeah.
yeah, music is very important. Vacation's
Mhm.
about like more like scenery, and I like green open areas or somewhere by the water. It doesn't have to be the beach. Just like
Mhm.
it's good for mental health. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So Robin, yes, number one, or I shouldn't say number one, but she's up there right now.
Mhm.
And I've really been into bands. So there's two bands I really like, Paramore. Uh,
Mhm.
they're like a pop punk band, and then there's a band from the UK. They're called the 1975. They're
Oh.
like they're a mix of like you can't quite they're like alternative rock. Like they play around of different genres. They'll do some jazz, some pop,
Mm.
punk. I like them. I like their past two albums are like my favorite. And I've never had like a favorite album ever, but I was like this one album I was like I like every single song.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
I'm so picky. I was like that's weird. I was like but
Because
I
you
do. I
love
like
music, right? That's one of the things that you
hmm
you like and you're doing in your pastime.
Yeah, that's like my go-to. I recently made like my own playlist because now I'm like, driving to work. It's almost an hour with traffic, working daytime and stuff like
Mm.
that. So I'm like, and also I live further out east on island, and so now, but I'm like, when I drive to work, it's actually like joyful because I have my own personalized playlist to keep
Yeah,
me going. I'm
right?
not just like listening to the radio like whatever they want and all the commercials. I'm like, no, no, no. Let me just
Yeah,
play what I want to play, and then so yeah, that helps too.
absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I love music is my thing. Like it sets the tone for me, especially going into work. Just creating the yeah, creating the vibration that I want to bring into the room basically when I go to work. So that's
Yes.
awesome. And then what are you blasting when you get out of work? Because there's a difference in the music that you drive. There may be a difference in the music that
Oh,
you drive when you're going in versus when you're driving out.
going out. I don't, because I put my playlist on shuffle, and then like if I don't like the song or I'm not feeling
Mm-hmm.
this, not like the song, I like all the songs playlist, but if I'm not feeling it in that moment, I'll just like skip it. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I probably just play more upbeat songs when I'm leaving work, but getting
Yeah.
into work, it could be some of them could be slower in the beginning, and then I kind of gradually get to like faster paced songs because I'm like, oh, I'm just about to like clock in. You should probably like get your brain going. I don't know. I feel like quicker songs
Yeah.
work your brain more than if you're just like you're listening to like a slower song. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't switch genres or anything like that. I just like I just more selective in what kind of genres I'm listening to, I guess, if that makes sense. So maybe, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I didn't besides the three artists I mentioned, I really do like soca music. So like I will, yeah.
You jam
So
out
for
to the soca.
when I'm leaving, I listen to more soca music when I'm like leaving work.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, a lot of Michelle Montano, Patrice Rucker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
Afro beats. That's it. Like I mean, there's this one playlist on YouTube. When I say blasting, like top of the speakers type thing when I'm leaving.
Yeah.
So it's a vibe. Okay. And then what are some things that you do to help you manage your money better? As we say, in self-care and money management is what we're like really like just making people become more aware of. So what are some like things that you realize now, or maybe you had these practices at the onset of your career that you would just encourage someone coming on to just say how to, tips on how to manage the money that they are getting?
Okay, I think there's two things, but there might be three things. Maybe I'll think of the third. I think
Mm-hmm.
definitely set up whenever you get your job, even before whether before nursing, whatever job you have, if they have that available to you. If you set up an a retirement account early, whatever like I think I worked at Costco and I had a retirement account and I was only working like part time, full time, but I still had something put away because I didn't even
Yeah.
think it just like once you start that practice like of automatically having your money sent a certain amount, like it's just such a good way to know, like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
that's already going somewhere else. That's going somewhere else. Um, Besides setting up, and also if you're switching jobs, don't be like me. I took like, oh God, wow, this is embarrassing. I, I,
No
when I
judgment.
switched, when I, s- I just like, I was, I don't know what I was doing, but I took forever to like, literally just to set up my retirement account at my second job from moving from my first job, like
Mm-hmm.
years. Like I could have had years of like money put in my
Mm-hmm.
retirement, and I just never like called or emailed. You know, they always send stuff. Like
They're
I
like,
know
you have
what.
30 days. They give you this random pamphlet on like day two when you're like, can we go home
Yeah,
early?
an
You
orientation.
know?
Yeah, exactly. And it goes out your mind, and then you just keep, and then some here and there I thought about it and I would forget other things came up and I was just like, oh no, like for some reason the last 2 years of me being at my old job, I decided to finally set it up.
Mm-hmm.
And now here I am at another job and I'm like, I need to set this up as soon as I can,
Right.
because I ain't missing on that on any of that retirement money.
Yeah.
Also like another thing too, and I knew to do it because I've read many books about like financial wealth and or health and things like that. If you can do like what is it called? The Roth IRA. That's another like
That is major
the
key.
earlier the better, especially. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Mm.
right there is the game changer. And that's the number, like, I think that's the first chapter in my book, What I Wish I Knew Sooner as a Nurse, which, because you're on the podcast, I'm going to send you your free copy. I'm going to give you a little link
Ooh,
to
thank you.
yay, you're welcome. And so, yeah, setting up a Roth IRA. I think they did this study, like if you started out at age 22, and the max is like
Mm.
$6,500 a year that you can put in. The
Yeah.
government's like, this is so powerful. Y'all can't be
I
putting
know,
$10,000.
exactly. Right? They
You got to
of course they
cap
put a
it.
max on how much money you could save for your future self. Of course there'd
Right.
be a max.
Right.
But spend as
Seriously.
much money as you want on anything else.
Have $80,000 in student loan debt, but you could only put
Yeah.
$6,500 a year in your Roth.
Mm.
So, needless to say, if you start out at like age 22, they did a study, and if you do the like max contribution, which is $6,500 a year, and you only do it for 8 years, say between the ages of 22 and 30, right? And you don't do anything else after that eighth year, you just let it compound interest. By the time you retire, I think it's what, 67 and a half right now. You literally, that portfolio, if you choose stocks, so like with the Roth IRA, you put the money in there, but then you have to also use that currency, that money, and buy stocks into the portfolio. Like some people may not understand that there's a second step. Like you don't only put the money in, you have to purchase stocks that are good stocks, basically, like the S&P 500. I'm not a financial advisor, so if you lose money, talk to your mom.
Right?
But if you say you buy, you track the S&P 500, you leave it in there. This study showed that you would have over $1 million, Belinda, by the time you literally can retire a millionaire, literally by that one strategy. And you don't have to be a nurse to do it. You can work at like literally whatever, any store. You can literally work at, any
Yeah, as long
store,
as you got the money, like,
anywhere,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Put it away and let it grow.
$1 million. And then the other thing that really blew my mind, so I've been a nurse for 16 years. Since 2007, I've been a nurse. So yeah, do the math. Yeah, I think it's so. If I saved, which I didn't when I first started out, if I only saved $10,000 a year, which is like, we get I used to get my tax return checks. Those used to be like 3,000, 3,500, whatever. If I saved $10,000 a year, Belinda, picking up extra shifts, whatever, I would have over $100,000 if I did that. No, I would have $160,000 by now if I just saved $10,000. I do not have $160,000 in any bank account, but I
Oh,
could if
yeah,
I knew what to do. It's so interesting. These are things they don't tell us, man.
I know.
What would
It's
you do
I
with
wish,
$160,000 right now?
I mean, I'd probably put some of that to a down payment for a house, but like,
Right.
because I'm looking for a house, but like, some of yeah. Oh, wow.
Or if you've been a nurse for 2 years, you could have 20,000. How many new to practice nurses can say they have $25,000 saved up in like some account just readily available for them. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't even, or if you started a year ago, do you have $10,000 saved up in an account? Like it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
so monumentous as $160,000.
Yeah.
But
Financial literacy is so important. And as you had said, like, I don't know if it's the same for you versus for me, but like my mom did try to teach me a lot of things. Like she used to always talk about Susie Orman. She always had like a TV show in her books and tell me. And so I knew some things, but like, when you have parents who are from a certain cultural background, they may not even, they themselves, they're just grinding and working all these
yeah,
hours. Like they don't even know.
right,
And then like how, at least nowadays, yeah, there's TikTok, you talk to your friend or whatever, you can find ways of learning about all this stuff. But otherwise it's like, oh, how did they survive?
right.
How
It's
did
so
how did they do
true.
it? Yeah. But
Right.
now for future generations, we can at least do better and teach other people and
Mm-hmm.
that, there are better ways. You don't have to always grind, grind, grind. You can just let that money, you know, do its own thing and
Mm-hmm.
enjoy your life, balance,
Yeah.
balance, balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not all about money, like, but what I'm learning from reading these books, it's the opportunities that it affords you. So it may afford
Oh,
you the
yes.
opportunity to drop down to part time where you could, travel more or start a business or be home with your children. That was a major catalyst for me when I had my son. I was just like, as a woman, my frame of reference changed. Like nothing else was as important as spending time with him. So if it can afford you to go down to part time and still be able to take care of your family, just that one additional day with your family, that's what that money can afford you. And all these things afford you the peace of mind to say, I can leave this job if it's too stressful and I'd still be okay.
Yeah. Or even, I think there was someone, uh, this idea of people taking sabbatical,
Mm-hmm.
like like I was like, what?
People do that. You could do that.
I know. I saw it on my YouTube homepage and I was like, oh, or maybe on, no. First I saw it on Instagram, like a reel or something, and then I went on to find their YouTube video, and I was like, oh my God. Because like I said, yeah, I was like, I did not know you could
It
do
was a
that.
thing.
Put a little thing and pin in my brain, like, okay, just remember in the back of your head.
Yeah, yeah.
If you do certain things, you might be able to do that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for your expertise. I really value the information that you gave us. And so I just want to thank you for your time. You are always welcome to come back on this platform. You can share with us whenever you have any updates or if there's anything that you want to share with this audience. I'm just very grateful for your time, and you are an amazing, amazing person. I wish you much success in
Thank
all areas of
you.
your life. And if I just want to encourage you, it's that whatever you're looking for, it will find you. And when I was like in my 30s, I was like that was an interesting. I think from like 27 to like 33, I was like, in that time, I was focused on like, am I going to meet the right person, or you know what I mean, like that. Especially if I'm being honest, for like nurses and stuff like that, they expect you to be like married at like 25. Like you're gonna find some doctor randomly walk in. You have your cute little fig scrubs on, so you think you're gonna meet.
And the hookah sneakers, right? Is that the brand? Sorry. I think
Yeah,
it's that.
the
Okay.
hookah sneakers. Yes,
Okay. I
seriously.
know
And
the
then you're
trend.
standing up and you're looking super cute, and you just
Yes.
automatically think that no. And so it may be just a perpetual thought. And I had to let go of that. And once I let go and I'm like, I'm doing me, I'm focusing on myself, things work out. So anyone who's listening to this, if you're in that kind of frame of reference, just understand that wherever you are is where you're meant to be at this point. There's always something to learn. And whatever you desire will find you. It's just a matter of when, but don't worry about it. What I've learned is that whatever is for you will always be for you and nobody can take it away. So I don't know who that's for. Take it if it's yours.
I
But
second that. That is so true. No, for real. That's why, like, when you talk, like, even like I remember you talked to me about like Wayne Dyer and like sometimes like I was
yes.
like, I'm like certain things like when I talk to other people, it's like sometimes like our brains in somewhere in sync of where we're thinking, or like the books I'll be reading. So, and I'm like, wait, when you mentioned that one person, I was like, wait a second. But it's so
Yeah.
true. Like a lot of the things I've been reading, I'm like, and after even talking to you many times at work, I'm like, you're completely right. Whatever is meant for you on your path, like it may not feel like the best fit right now, but it will get you to where you need to be as
Mm-hmm.
part of your life path. Like it'll, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So keep putting yourself first, people, nurses, girlies, and nurses, male nurses, nurses, girlies, and nurses. Keep putting yourself first and keep working on your
Yeah.
money. And that is the secret to, secret to what I've found to be success in a lot of areas. So thank you for watching. Again, Belinda, thank you for your time. You are awesome. Tell Brewster. Can we see Brewster?
Oh my God. I'm gonna flip the camera, or do you see him?
Hi. Is he?
He's
Hi,
laying.
Brewster.
He's
Oh,
sleeping.
he's so cute. Oh, thank
I'm so,
you.
yeah, he's out. I'm sure I've been talking this whole time. He just went to sleep.
He's like, that's mommy's voice. Oh,
He's
it's so
used to it.
comforting.
He's so
Yeah.
used to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you,
Um,
Belinda.
take care.
Take
Thank you for
care.
having me.
You're most welcome. Later.
Bye.